I'm back again, and I really want to set you on fire for your own mental health and your own emotional power. I think that this is such a big conversation, and I'm so glad to be able to have these with you across the month of May. So, today I want to talk to you about this idea that you're actually quite close. You're actually far, far closer than you think to the life of your dreams. The real thing that is blocking you from everything you want, from the freedom you want, from the connection you want, from the intimacy you want, is your emotional energy. And the way I want to talk to you about this today is I want to talk about emotional pain and emotional power. And I want to suggest to you that your emotional pain and your emotional power are two sides of the exact same energetic coin. In other words, you are only as powerful in your life as the upper limit of your pain. So you can only have as much freedom, enough connection, enough relaxation, as much wealth, as much desire, as much joy as you can tolerate holding. So if I start to get in my pain, right? I start to get too stressed, too anxious, feeling too inadequate, feeling too overwhelmed. That is the thing, that is the line that divides me from my power. Now, as a lot of you know, I'm a neuropsychologist. I've worked extensively in academia, done a lot of research, treated a lot of patients. And so I've thought a lot about human pain and human power. And the most powerful definition I can give you for all of the pain in your life, well, let's say a very substantial component of it, right? Because plenty of terrible things happen to us, but I'm talking about the pain that we generate in our own lives, is when I divide myself from myself. I self-betray. I self-abandon. So this can look like I've left my own relationships. I've left my own marriage. I've left my own friendships. I don't show up. Then I'm mad at other people. But the truth is I didn't show up. I feel like I wake up in the morning and I look around and I'm like, is this all there is? Is this it? But I gave up my own dreams. I never wrote that book. I never took that trip. I never had that conversation. And I show up for myself. A tremendous amount of pain in this world happens when we divide ourselves from ourselves. We want to say no, but we say yes. We want to rest, but we overgive. We want to go right, but we go left. Okay? Pain is self-division. All right. So if I just told you that emotional pain and emotional power are two sides of the same exact energetic coin, what is the best definition I can give you for emotional power? The best definition I can give you for your emotional power is your wholeness. In other words, when you say, I will no longer divide myself from myself, no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the condition, no matter what she says, no matter what they do, no matter what he didn't do, I will not leave myself. The reason that we self-abandon at the very core is because we think there are parts of us that are too ugly, too big, too small, too annoying, in other words, there's parts of us that we self-reject because we think they're humiliating. There is one mother energy. There is one mother energy that is the line between your pain and your power. And that emotional energy is the energy of humiliation. Now, I don't care if you call this energy embarrassment, unworthiness, shame, whatever. Like neurologically, it's all the same phenomenon. Shame, a few days ago I talked to you, I gave you this really powerful metaphor about the pain tree in your life. And the energy that enervates nearly all of the pain in our life comes from this energy of humiliation. Now I'm going to give you a couple examples of how this came through for me so clearly and why it's so universal. So I do a lot of work with patients. I do a lot of work with clients, do a lot of coaching, mentorship, leadership mentorship, and I do a lot of work in corporate settings. So if you look at a lot of the employee engagement data, the top predictor of employee engagement, in other words, how engaged workers are in their jobs, is not what their title is or how much they make or when their next promotion is or what their bonus is. The top predictor is, do I feel valued by my organization? In other words, does my organization allow me to hold the energy of my own worthiness? And if it doesn't, in other words, if it starts to tap into that energy of I'm not good enough, they're taking advantage of me, in other words, I'm being humiliated, they're not seeing my worthiness, they're not protecting me, they're not allowing me to be what I am, there's no amount of money in the world that can make up for that. A human being cannot be unworthy and well. That's not a statement of philosophy, it's a statement of neurobiology. So you see this from an abundance of data in the corporate world. Okay, another way that this came through for me, that this energy of humiliation is so powerful, is I do a lot of work with combat veterans. And obviously a lot of combat veterans, the reason they come to see me is for treatment for their PTSD. So, I would earlier in my career think, all right, what's going to be the mother fear here? And I thought I had a pretty good idea. I thought the mother fear here would be they're afraid of dying. Like, seems like a very, very reasonable fear for a human being. But what I was hearing across guys, across continents, across conflicts, was not the number one fear. The number one fear was, am I going to be the guy in the mission that the other guys can't depend on? Am I going to be the guy who doesn't have his gear ready? Am I going to be the one that's not good enough, that can't keep up, that can't protect people, that can't... In other words, they were talking to me about the energetics of humiliation. I'm going to give you one more example. It's like a riddle. Like, what does employees, combat veterans, and haircuts have in common? So I do a lot of work. I'm an anxiety expert. I do a lot of work with various presentations of anxiety, and one such presentation is OCD. So OCD has a lot of different presentations. It's not just, I know conventionally people think of it as checking and hand washing, things like this. That's not the only manifestation. So I was working with a woman who was afraid that she was going to be attacked. She was afraid that she was going to be killed. And she was afraid that she was going to be attacked in her home. So in the course of our treatment, she kind of mentions in passing that she's thinking about getting a haircut. Okay, so she has really long hair. She's thinking about cutting it all off. So this might be a whole separate video. If this confuses people, feel free to drop me comments. But we have brilliant treatments for anxiety disorders like OCD. The problem is a lot of the mainstream world doesn't know the treatments, and the treatments themselves are a little bit counterintuitive. So the frontline treatments for a presentation like OCD is something called exposure and response prevention. And really briefly, what you basically want the patient to do is to do the exact opposite of what they think they need to do in order to be safe. So basically, the treatment is designed to provoke the obsessions. And you do this to show the brain that the brain can live in the uncertainty. The brain can live under a whole set of conditions that it thought it couldn't. And this knowledge, this evidence allows the brain to unclench. So we have a hierarchy of, things that she's going to do, and each thing is more and more difficult. So at the very top of her list was sleeping in her home with all of the doors open. Not just unlocked, but the garage doors open, the front doors wide open, the back doors wide open. Now, I don't know about you, but chances are you don't have this specific variant of OCD, and you probably would not want to do this. In other words, we're asking the brain to swing far beyond what's normal so it can kind of calibrate to a new set point, okay? She does this. Astounding bravery, and it delivers to her astounding relief. That's not the point of the story that I'm trying to tell you right now. She's able to sleep with all of the doors and windows in her home open, she is not able to cut her hair. And the reason it turns out that she is unable to cut her hair is she is so worried that she will look ugly to other people. In other words, the fear of having an intruder come into my open home in the night is a smaller fear than the risk of, in my mind, public humiliation, public rejection. Human beings are not wired to endure social rejection. The problem with this is that there is a universe of difference between actual social rejection and my imagination. So I think a lot of times we think that all the people are thinking all the things about us. How annoying we are, how unattractive we are, how uninteresting we are, how inept we are, how unfunny we are. I mean, should I go on and on and on? But the reality is, think about your own self. I can almost guarantee that you sometimes obsess about what other people are thinking about you. But do you really spend a ton of your life obsessing about Mary, Marcus, Jimmy, John, and Susie? You probably don't. In other words, we torment ourselves. We're at home, busy, hemorrhaging all of our holy energy away, thinking about what all these other people are thinking about us. And the truth is, newsflash, I'm actually not that important. And they're not even thinking about me. And the consequence is, I've given away all of my energy. I've given away all of my power to some hallucination about what other people may or may not be thinking, about how I am maybe or maybe not living my life. It's madness. It's bonkers. That's a clinical term for you. So to call back your power, you have to start saying, I will not leave myself no matter what. If I feel like they don't like me, it's going to be really difficult. But I will still stand by myself. If I really feel called to tell my truth and speak my mind, and I'm actually quite clear that it will ruffle feathers, or I know that it will be hard for some people to hear, I have to choose. Do I choose their nervous system or do I choose my own? My willingness to refuse to abandon myself under any condition is the thing that will make me the most bulletproof that a human being can be. What this means, what I'm essentially telling you or suggesting to you, is that this means a lot of times we say, if the condition is okay, if the situation is okay, that's when I can hold the energy of my power. That's when I can hold the energy of my worth. But that is totally backwards. And as long as the condition has to come first, then I rightfully should be panic-stricken. I should be anxious. I should be stressed. In other words, I have to get to a point in my emotional power where I put my emotion before the condition. I say, I will express myself freely. I will express myself honestly. I will express myself authentically, no matter what. And this is what unconditional worthiness means, right? Unconditional worthiness means, I would appreciate a chat. Let me know if you are doing it. Wait, I don't understand this comment, but I'm happy to answer it. Hey, you're going to watch me walk and chew gum, which I'm not good at. Anyways, I was just kind of wrapping up this video to say, unconditional worthiness means I am worthy irrespective of the condition. It's okay if they disagree. It's okay if they want to do it another way. It's okay if this isn't the way that they want to live their lives. I will not give away my power. And that is how we build mind-blowing levels of emotional power, and we really can access the life of our dreams. Let me know if you have any questions. Would love to have a conversation with you instead of just yammering alone in my office.